So I'm going to press record before I forget. And we have Eryk here. And Eryk is from Deutsch. I'm going to let him take it away. We just want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your insight and your knowledge from music supervision and the ad side world. And we know that you're really busy, and thank you so much. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just give a little bit about what you do and your background, and then we'll dive into some questions. I have a really amazing list of questions here from the group. And then at the end, we'll listen to a couple songs.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for having me, first and foremost. It's a pleasure to hop on here and talk to you guys. Can everybody hear me okay? Is everything all good?
It's a little, can you get a little louder?
Can hear good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just like not that loud.
All right, let's see if I can turn.
Mute, that's not it.
I'm
That's
trying
better.
to make sure everybody's muted here.
Audio options.
Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody, and then I'm gonna unmute Eryk. Where did Eryk go? Okay.
All right, is that better?
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
Audio song. Okay, great. Awesome, guys. Well, my name's Eryk Rich. I run the music department at Deutsch LA Advertising Agency. Our brands are Volkswagen, Taco Bell, Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, Snapple, Zillow, Trulia, Tile. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. Kind of have a lot of great music brands. I've been here about 4 years now. I started as an audio engineer, so coming from the production side of things. And then I turned to the dark side, came over here and work in advertising and music supervision. So it's good. It's a little crazy. I work with three guys that work on the music team, an audio engineer, 2 music supervision guys. And, we touch every piece of content that goes out of this place, whether it be, $500 piece of stock music, couple $1,000 library piece of music, or, the big licensing stuff, talent negotiations, kind of everything in between. That's kind of the quick, rundown in a nutshell. So, that's about it for me on the.
What got you into it in the first place? What's your
I sort of just fell into it, to be honest. Like I, one day got a call and, said, if you want to come and try this job, do it. I had done a teeny bit of licensing for the music studio and side company they had, where it was called Music Mastermind, was kind of the, division of the music studio I was working at. I was audio engineer full time, and then they, had a little bit of licensing, basically did enough licensing to say that I knew what licensing was. Just so happened to meet the criteria of the things that I needed to get into Deutsch. I started here with a 1-month internship about 4.5 years ago, and I've essentially outlasted everybody, and here I am.
Now you're running it.
Now it's something like that, yeah. So it's cool.
That's really awesome. So what would you say, because it sounds like, you have your hands in like every part of the music side of things. What does your typical day look like, or is it just, it must always be changing?
Yeah, it is. It's changing a lot, whether it be, us creating a piece of original music for a client, or, getting a jingle created, or radio spots, to, doing the big licensing stuff with, creatives coming to us with a script, just saying, hey, find us a piece of music. Sometimes they're like, hey, we want Dean Martin, go get it. That kind of opens up, its own, box of issues and, stuff to do. So it's, it's very, it really varies day to day. All of our clients are very music heavy and, just down to do cool music stuff. So it's great. We're in a really good spot. No 2 days are the same, which I think my, crazy personality, that's kind of best, because I can't really do the monotony. So I like to be running around going crazy all the time. That's kind of what's best for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Keeps it up. And so my first question, I guess, would be, what do you think, what's the ratio that you think original music to licensed music that you work with? Original music being like from, just to clarify, is like from a music house or something that you have created for a spot versus licensing something from an artist who already has that song?
You know, I think I kind of get that question a lot, and I would probably say 33, 33, 33 with, you know,
Oh,
stock and library music, and then original composition, and then licensed.
oh, that's great.
Um, it is great. We do a ton of each, and I bet if I was to break it all down, it would be a pretty even split. Ton of licensing, ton of original, and a ton of stock and library music. You know, a lot of content goes at this building. You know, whether it be, you know, the big TV spots to just the online little digital things to where we, you know, we'll grab a stock piece of music or a library piece of music for all of those too. Very, very even, which is really
Yeah.
nice.
That is really great. So it leaves so much space for these songwriters who are on here, who are writing songs. There's so much opportunity.
Totally.
Okay, so I'm going to dive into some of their questions because they have really insightful questions. The first
Sweet.
one I thought I would start off with something. What's your favorite part about your job? This is from Brittany. Are there certain themes and lyrical themes and production that you're constantly needing to fill? So I guess that's two questions.
Okay, first part, favorite part of my job. I mean, I get to work. I mean, first and foremost, I get to work in music, which I think is a blessing. And, you know, I know all of you who love music and, like, you know, kind of would die for music in one way or another. We know it's a blessing that we get to work in it and do what we love. I also love the people I work with. You know, I think the music industry is a lot of great people, and a lot of my best friends now that I have come from work, which is, I think, just, you know, you can't ask for more. It's amazing. You know, some of my best friends in the world now are at this label, that label, publishing, sync company, you know, all this, and a lot of great people. So it makes it, you know, makes it fun. The other part of the question for lyrical asks, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like that's, you know, I have an interesting answer for that, because I've noticed for myself in, you know, licensing a ton of music that the vague lyrics work the best. You know, if you say, you know, I love her in an ad, I'm not going to be able to use that as much, because very, you know, rarely are my spots, you know, about a, you know, man or woman. They're about it and kind of vague things. So I don't want to give the songwriters here, you know, the insight to say, hey, go write vague lyrics. But I notice if it says, I love this, I got to have it, I want it, it's much more universal to be put into car ad, you know, home ad, Sprite, whatever it may be. You know, it can kind of fit into any product category with it being a little more vague. You know, I always get, you know, a million briefs about home, you know, road trips, driving, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, that's kind of an interesting answer on that side of things.
No, you're like teaching the class for us. That's basically what we say, you know, like we try to get that across, but coming from you, it's like the real deal. Writing universal lyrics and things that really can be, you know, hit the broad spectrum.
Totally. That's a great way to put it.
I mean, yeah, that's what you said. You did it basically. Yeah, I mean, and then we also really encourage our songwriters to be truly authentic, because you want songs that feel like fresh and like a real artist is singing them, but they also hit the marker and that they have these universal anthem lyrics that can be placed really easily.
Totally. And I think, and also, you know, upbeat and energetic is probably baked into 90% of my briefs. You know, I just sent out one the other day for sad songs. Very rare. You know, I think clients want their viewers and their demographics to feel secure. You know, I learned it from watching Mad Men, and it says all a client wants is security. You know, I think I learned most of what I know about advertising through Mad Men. So, you know, it's kind of funny. It's like, you know, security. You know, I think that's a good way to put it when you're writing songs. They want to feel secure, you know, and I mean that, and upbeat and good energy, and that's kind of all my briefs in a nutshell, depending on what category I'm going into, and slight variations in lyrics, you know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we talk about that all the time, so that's great. Kippa, you're here. Why don't you ask your question, since I see that you just posted it here?
Sure. So, yeah, I actually had a couple. I was typing one as she was speaking. I wanted to know about getting into the composition side. You mentioned 33% comes from licensing, 33% from libraries, and then there's the original jingle original compositions. Just how does one get into that?
On my side of things, I would say, get in touch with the music companies. I mean, there's a lot of music houses in LA. I'm not sure, where you're based. I know they're kind of all over the country, all over the world, and they have, rosters of genre specific guys that if you're an EDM guy, you might sign up with, this music company, say it's Massive Music, based in LA and I believe New York, and get on that roster. And, when they have an EDM brief, if that's your thing, they can reach out to you and say, hey, here's what I've got. It's for Taco Bell, need EDM, Dylan Francis style thing. Here's some demo money, go make it. And you're essentially just signing up with a music company to have the access to all the agencies, like us. I think that's, a reason why that's so valuable is because, Deutsch being an IPG agency, that's our holding company. We have very strict indemnification policies and insurance policies that we have to abide by. So I can't just reach out to you guys and say, hey, make me a song. It'll need to have a certain insurance behind it. So I think going to those music companies and getting put on their roster so you can have access to that insurance policy is crucial to composing for ads. My hands are tied when it comes down to insurance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's great.
A lot of good music companies, though. A lot of great ones I can recommend if you guys are taking notes and, this and that. A lot of great music companies that I deal with all the time, and they save my ass all the time.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm sure they would like to hear it. If you wanted to list them, I'm sure they would want to hear them. Yeah.
Yes. Mophonics is great people, great music, based out of LA and maybe New York. Yesian, same thing. Massive Music is great. Singing Serpent out of New York, they absolutely crush it for me for Volkswagen almost all the time. Butter is solid. Jingle Punks are great. Score is hands down my favorite library where they have archives of just great music. I don't use them for a ton for original, but they have library stuff, and that's another thing where it's, you simply sign up, submit your music to them, they hold on to it for 3 years and pitch it to everybody. And, those guys are just great people and great music. So I'd have to say those are kind of my top, favorites in the business that I do a ton of business with those guys. They're just, high quality people, high quality music. What else could you ask for?
That's so helpful. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. That's great to get firsthand recommendations. Okay, I'm going to move on to Lauren's question. She says, just wondering if there's any current trends that you're noticing in searches that you're working on, like sound-wise, sounds like specific artist-wise, something like that.
That's a tough one. I feel like for me, all of my brands here at Deutsch, they're all so different. It's tough for me to realize the trends that are going on. I think the compositions, I'm creating or the music I'm looking for Volkswagen could not be any, further from the ask of Taco Bell. You got to look at the demographics and, even Target, they've coined their own term that's called, they say poptimistic. They're like, hey, all of our music has to be poptimistic. And I'm like, what even is that? Okay, I get it now. But it's, Volkswagen's never going to ask for poptimistic. So it's tough for me to find these trends. I would say, in my 4 years here at Deutsch, I've gotten the Black Skinhead Kanye brief about 50 million times. Or Black Keys are a big one. The Jack White, kind of bluesy, gritty thing goes a long way. I don't know if you guys have heard of that guy, Barnes Courtney. Kind of makes Black Keys-esque kind of music, and it's, dirty, gritty. I don't want to call it Southern, but it's pretty bluesy. And the dude licensed $1 million last year, I want to say. I licensed his stuff twice, and He just makes a killing based off of that gritty, cool, like you think of a Coors Light commercial. We've all seen them, and it's that, that gritty thing where it's not Black Keys, but it's in that world. Yeah. And, stays pretty relevant. But that's a tough question. I think it's kind of always changing project by project and client by client.
Well, I think that's refreshing to hear too. So then it's not like everybody has a chance and there's, whoever's just making your sound relevant and cool and fresh really works.
Totally.
Depending on the brand, of course.
Exactly.
Let's see. I've got Jesse Jordan. Since you're on here, I'll just let you ask your question if you want to unmute yourself.
Where's Jesse Jordan? I guess there's a couple pages. Oh, hi.
Hi, Eryk. thanks so much for doing this.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
So my question is, if we're writing songs for sync, like I co-wrote this song with another guy in the class named Fernando, and we wrote this song called Go, and it's everything that you described. Road trip, fun, 158 beats per minute. It's like, go. It's awesome. So when we write a song like that, we formed a band called Glowing Sky. And so now we're having this debate, like, do we release it? Do we just keep it for sync? Like, how do you feel about artists in terms of unreleased songs versus released songs for your projects for sync?
I mean, I think it really, it really depends. And I think that's a really good question because, there's certain times where when I'm trying to license something, I'm really trying to just make something work within my budget. I might only have, X amount of money, which, here at the agency, I have it kind of lined up to where they know if I have X amount of money, I'm not going to be able to get a giant famous song with a ton of equity behind it. So in your case, it seems like, you have a good shot at getting it landed in something. Maybe it's an admin deal on a publishing company, maybe it is releasing it, but I think you still have, many avenues in getting that thing, synced up with something just, based off the creative of how it sounds. It sounds like it's spot on for what I'm asking for every time.
So do you recommend not releasing it or unreleasing it?
I mean, that's totally up to you guys. I mean, on my end of things, like I've licensed stuff that isn't released and the label or whoever may be repping it will reach out and just say, oh, hey, here's a song. If you love it, we'll release it. And I know that's kind of a label's way at having their demos on hand, saying my artist has these 10 songs. I'm going to plan a release around them. And if I line up a campaign with those, then they'll roll something out and throw it on Spotify or whatever it may be. But nowadays, I think music's so accessible and, you can release it in 5 seconds. You can go upload it to, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever it may be in 5 seconds. I mean, there is going to be some equity there, from it being released for sure, but maybe not a ton. So it's really just kind of how you want to go about it,
Fantastic. Would you mind listening to it and giving me your feedback on it?
I'd love to.
Oh,
Definitely.
no,
I see there's a chat thing going on.
Yeah. There's some chats. I'm manning it, so you're
okay,
not
cool.
responsible but you can see people are appreciative.
Okay.
The link, so you can click
Sweet.
on the link to play and the lyrics for your convenience as well.
Amazing. Should I play it now, or what's the?
We can just do it at the end of the session because
Cool.
we're gonna have a couple of songs to listen to, and we'll stay on the questions, and then
Sweet.
I think that keeps the flow. Great question. So let me ask you. So Carrie Smith, you have a million amazing questions. Are you on the call? Because if you are, you can just maybe ask some of yours. Because I like.
I'm here.
Okay, I'll let you ask. I really liked your question about how do you curate music. I thought that was great. All your questions were great, so I'll let you ask them.
Okay.
Or do you want me to ask them?
I'm trying to find my questions. I asked so many, I lost track of what I was asking.
She did. She asked like 5 or 6.
I do remember the curious one. Thank you, Eryk. We really appreciate this.
Of course.
I was wondering, so when you get music, so somebody sends you, like even you hear some of these links, you get a link, you download it, and how do you curate it and kind of keep track of what you want to use down the road? So say you get like a fast upbeat, pop a mystic something, but you don't have a brief for that for another 3 months. Like how do you organize yourself to be able to find what you've heard?
Well, I mean, first I would say the platform I use iTunes and I make playlists. So, I'll say, let's just say Taco Bell indie rock, spot name for whatever I'm looking for or whatever, or upbeat indie, energetic, whatever it may be, and I'll save that in iTunes. And then, I know my guys are really good here at Deutsch at, if we get the same brief, it's 90s hip hop. Oh man, didn't we get 90s hip hop 6 months ago for Target? Oh yeah, this is now a total different thing. But if it's 90s hip hop, it's always going to be 90s hip hop. So it doesn't need to be fresh and cool. We can dive back in, check the brief that we did send out to the music industry and just kind of see if the budgets work out. Budget and parameters are a very big part of what we do. So, I think, short answer is iTunes, and the long answer is really just trying to compartmentalize everything and knowing, we did do a 90s hip hop search once upon a time, maybe refer to there to see what's up. We also do at the top of every month, I'll reach out to all my music industry friends and say, hey, send me, your hottest, best stuff for the month of August or whatever it may be. And then I refer to that first because, there's always those times where, for me, the pinnacle and everything is aligning a brand new single that has a big push behind it with a campaign on the commercial side and creating something magic, So I like to look at my hot list for the month first, and then see what we can, align with the record label and with our campaigns and kind of start there.
Gotcha.
But I've also heard disco is really awesome for, I don't know if anybody uses disco, but I keep hearing disco is like the jam. So I heard that's really awesome for storing music, making playlists, sending playlists, keeping your music, storing it, metadata tagging, kind of everything. So I don't know if you guys know.
We use disco, and we just changed over, and I really love it.
I've heard that from everybody, and I'm like I'm like the kind of person who goes to the same restaurant their whole life and gets the same thing because I'm like scared to change. Like that's me to a T.
Yeah. Well, it's really easy to change the metadata, so that convinced me right away. I was like, it's worth changing everything over. And there's a cool company from Australia, I think, and they're really easy to work with. So
okay.
I'm pro disco. Okay, so let's see, Carrie, I've got another question I'm going to ask that you sent in. I'm going to put two of them together. One is, how does the flow of, when does music come into the advertising? Like, as you're going through developing the story, or the rest of Deutsch creatives are working on it, at what point does the music come in, and how long typically do you have to turn it around?
Great question. We like to work very closely with the creative directors, and they'll come to us, as early as kind of, conception of these things. They'll come to us and say, hey, we're trying to sell the client on this spot. It's about, this and this and this. Here's a storyboard with the copy and the art put on it. What song would we use? And we'll get in that early, attach a song to the script, then they'll go present that to the client and hopefully sell the client, right there at the very start of everything. Sometimes it's, hey, we just awarded a production company to do the animation for Target and need a piece of music composed. So it's kind of all, various times when we get involved. But, my whole thing is the earlier the better, to be honest. And then the other half of the question was, how long do we have?
Yeah.
Man, sometimes too much time, which I've noticed is honestly the worst. When I have a spot that's like, oh, we ship in 2 months, I'm like, oh God, we're going to search for music for 2 months, because it's always, hey, try to beat it, try to find something better.
Right.
I prefer a quick post schedule where it's like, hey, you deliver Monday or you deliver music on Monday, we got to ship like the following Monday, and I got to clear, and I got to we got to get everybody on board, and we got to make it happen, because the death of me is the long post schedules, because you could just it's so subjective. You could search for music forever, and I have, and I continue to.
Well, that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Like we've talked to people like trailer company, they're looking for songs for like a year, and that's just like insane, because you pick a song, you trash the song, you pick another song. I could see your point.
Totally. I don't know how people do music supervision for films. You've got a year. Like I don't know if I couldn't do it. That just would be great, but man, that just seems so tough, because deadlines are my best friend, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You got to make it happen. So.
Cool. Next question. Okay, this is from MJ. How important is an artist's social media presence, have you found in your experience?
I think it's pretty important. I mean, there's always those times where when I'm trying to sell a song that I truly love and I want to push through, and it like I was talking about earlier, one of those, magical moments when, it's a push to radio and we're trying to line a campaign. And that's when I'll go and I'll get, a one sheet on the band, and, label makes it look all cool picture, social following, what they've done, what awards, yada, yada, yada. And that comes in really handy at certain times, but for the most part, like, that it's not a huge part in what we do here. I think, if it's got 0 plays in the world, that's, not detrimental, not the best thing ever, but, it also doesn't have to be, Justin Bieber with 600 million streams on every song. That's not a huge part on my end. There's certain brands here too where, Target will ask, when did this release? Who's the artist? What are they signed to? And they like to dive in, but beyond beyond Target, that's kind of the only one of my brands that does that, or really gets super involved with that kind of thing. Because Target is very aware of that, you know, social media presence. And, you know, when they book extras in a campaign, sometimes they'll do influencers, so that those influencers will then go repost the spot that they were just in, you know, and get X amount more eyeballs on it and stuff. They're very smart with that kind of stuff.
Very smart. Yeah, well, they've also had a lot of success doing that, I guess. With their
They know how to work it for sure.
Okay. So let's see who is next here. Lisa says, in terms of production, what do you find to be more in demand, acoustic or electronic? You may have kind of touched this already, but maybe you have more to add.
Man, I think it's a good blend. I mean, you know, acoustic being like more organic instrumentation, I think, kind of what I'm speaking on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I very rarely get the briefs for like, I want a big 4 on the Floor Martin Garrix song. I feel like I get more organic instrumentation asks as opposed to the, like, you know, I need like a straight up club banger, like, or like, you know, Zed, like fist pumping 4 on the Floor, like real electronic stuff. But I think it's, you know, it's kind of a fine blend, really. And nowadays you have that stuff. You've got an acoustic guitar playing with 4 on the Floor drums, and it's, you know, a mashup. I mean, so I think it's pretty even right down the middle, I would say, on that one. Maybe skewing a little more organic.
Cool. Yeah, we talk about marrying sounds and genres a lot. So you're that, you know, you've come up with your own fresh way of interpreting things, and it doesn't have to be so pigeonholed. And,
totally.
So you're basically teaching the class right now. Got all the answers.
I don't think I'm qualified for that.
Well, you are. You're doing it. Basically, you're helping. Okay, so before we dive into songs, if anybody who's on the call right now wants to post their questions, Kepa, you have another question. Do you want to ask it?
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, you mentioned, first of all, thank you, Eryk. I really appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Some information. So you mentioned perspectives, like point of view, like, and not well, you didn't really mention perspectives. You said you don't really want people to get too specific in their lyrics, like he, she, you know, it's or better. What do you think about point of view? Like, if I was writing a song, you know, would it be better to say, I'm ready to go, I'm on my way, or we are ready to go, we're on our way, or you're ready to go, you're on your way? Like, which one's better for
Oh, man, that's, you know what, it's so funny. So I feel like, you know, for myself, I'm like a songwriter, a producer. I like to, like, you know, continue to make music and create music. And I've, you know, listened to a lot of songwriting podcasts and lyric podcasts, all this good stuff. I was listening to one the other day, and it was kind of funny. They were like, you know, songwriters are the only people who care about that kind of thing. And I'll be writing a song, and I'll be like, you know, we'll be in there writing it and be like, oh, well, you just said you were going there. Then why is it we? Oh, shit, I don't know. We're thinking, and we're like, oh, man, I don't know. When you listen to songs, I feel like anybody outside of the songwriting community, like, they don't even notice that kind of thing. You know, I think with my music supervisor ears, I'll probably never be like, you know, it was I'm going to the store, or I'm going downtown. And then it talked about we, like, I don't know. I don't think our brains pick up on that when we're looking at music supervision, you know, on the music supervision kind of thing, which is funny because I know on the songwriter side, we like die over that kind of thing. And you're like, wait, first person, third person, I don't know. Is it talking? Is it conversational? I don't know. Am I reminiscing? I don't know. Is it, you know, it's so tough for a songwriter. I feel you there. I mean, I wouldn't say that's a huge point to worry about when you're looking at the sync side of things.
Well, that's good to know. It opens me up a little bit.
Help you sleep at night.
That's great. Lizzie, do you want to ask your question? I have it here too. It's on the list. So great. You want to unmute yourself?
Hey.
Thanks so much for being here. Sorry, that's my dog barking at the thunder. I'm wondering if you have any producers that you really love who get sync and who are really versatile stylistically. If you're ever going kind of the producer route saying, yeah, that guy or gal just really gets it. They always have something, they can respond quickly and be resilient with my requests.
Like producer as in like producing commercial songs for...
Yeah, I mean, even if it's a mixing engineer, somebody who's like, yeah, I totally get where you're going with your pop-timistic or your grungy, bluesy, edgy Coors Light commercial. I know that I can rely on this producer. I'm just thinking with some of the songs that I'm writing and some things, mixing and producing can be, obviously, as you know, widely different. You can completely reimagine a song 10 ways. So I'm just wondering on the production side, if you have any people like that you're kind of like, yeah, that person's really consistent and
I haven't really done a lot of stuff with producers who produce like, real artists and real songs and all that. Here and there I'll get a request and it'll pop up and we'll need to go to like, Ludwig Göransson, who's like Childish Gambino's producer, and he's knocked some stuff out of the park for me. He's the man. He's like the best ever.
Oh my gosh, he used to play in my band. I love him.
That dude's like, he's just great. He gets it. He's one of those guys who gets it. But, outside of that, like I was kind of speaking on earlier, I do the music house thing, which, we've got to go to those guys for the most part. And I mean, I've just noticed, like, I guess I want to say contemporary production, but, that doesn't mean it's the most current cutting edge thing ever. I was having a conversation earlier this week about, I feel like your music sounds more contemporary based off of your drums. Now I could be totally wrong, but there was a new Miley Cyrus song that came out on New Music Friday, and it was interesting. It sounded old school. They really leaned into it, and the first 30 seconds, no drums are in, and I noticed. I was like, oh, where's this going to go? It sounds like it could be contemporary, kind of sounds like some old Stevie Nicks kind of thing. It was very interesting to me because then when the drum sounds kicked in, I was like, oh my God, they tried to go super old school. And I just get it. And I don't know, I have this weird kind of like situation with drums where I feel like if the drums are contemporary, your whole song can sound contemporary, which is kind of interesting. I know I'm like totally getting off topic with the producer thing, but that's kind of where that's at. I mean, I think contemporary production is kind of key nowadays, even if it's an acoustic guitar and live bass and all that, and even if you do use real drums, layer them in with some contemporary stuff, because that's just what sounds cool to people. And I think creative directors at agencies who like think they know music, who like probably really don't, that some contemporary elements are going to help the sell one way or another.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great question. Kat, would you like to ask yours? Are you there? Kat, let me find you. Okay, I'll ask her a question. Or I'll unmute. Kat, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to ask your question?
I'm here. Hi. Yes. Let me just pull it back up real quick, because I had so many. Oh, okay. I was wondering how you listen to the music that gets sent to you. If you kind of skip around, or if you do like a verse and a chorus and then you're done, or what? How do you decide if it goes in the playlists or not?
I feel like just in the essence of time, you've got to scrub. I feel bad because I know it goes into all these songs and the love that goes into them, and I feel bad scrubbing. But in the essence of time, there's a little bit of that, and I think within the first 5 seconds, I know my brands and what I'm looking for so well most of the time that within the first 5 seconds, I'll kind of know what path I'm being led down, and then I can scrub around and kind of see, does the chorus get big? Does it go small? Does it, that kind of thing. I think, scrubbing around, is you kind of have to do it. The title of the song. Oh yeah. Also, I think the title of a song is good too. Like instead of naming it like this obscure word from the bridge that you used once, I mean, if the song's called Home, it's going to help what I'm looking for. If I'm, quickly just cruising through something, I need a home song that I got to send out in 10 minutes. I think song titles are completely crucial.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we are running short on time. We've got more questions, but I think we should get to the songs because I know that they would love your feedback. So basically, you can skip through, listen to the verse and the chorus, not the whole song, whatever you need in order to give feedback, just to say whether it's syncable or not and why one way or another.
Okay.
So I'll just copy these links in here for you so that you can find them easily.
Cool. So I guess I got to mute it and then play the songs?
We can hear you kind of. It will be all right.
So if I just click on this and play it, it's cool that everybody hears it?
Yeah. We'll get like distorted hearing, but it'll be fine. We'll get distorted audio a little bit.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna go for Gary Garrett. It's called Rise. I mean, song title is spot on.
Great.
Let me copy it. It's not letting me click it. Here, let me copy it and paste it real quick. Oh, jeez. How do I get out of full screen? Does anybody know how I get out of full screen?
Exit.
There we go. Okay. Learning.
Rise to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. No man's an island, but this woman is the sea. From where she's standing, she looks a lot like you to me. We've come too far to fall, and we want what's free for all. And silent she calls the weak to rise. Give me your tired, your poor, yearning to breathe free. The refuse of the shore, send these harmless to be your bride. Give me your tired, your poor, yearning to breathe free. The refuse of the shore, send these harmless to me.
Rad. So that one to me sounds very trailery. You know, I mean, I think there's, you know, you've got film, ads, and TV, and to me that one fits right into the trailer world. You know, where I'm sure the ask is dark and epic and kind of orchestral and almost, you know, operatic. And you know, me on the ad side, I don't get a lot of briefs that are dark. You know, which is a bummer because I like dark music. Like I like slow, dark, epic music like that. And I don't get many briefs for it. So I think that one in the trailer world is spot on.
That's great. Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, now this one's Go by Glowing in the Sky.
Got it.
Oh wait, it says the page. It says the page does not exist.
Uh-oh.
Let's try to copy it and paste it somewhere else. Oh, yep, says it doesn't exist.
Okay, Jesse, you want to find a new link for that?
Yes, 2 seconds. I'm on it. Like, no.
So next one. You want me to just?
Let's see. Let me go. Oh.
Oh, box.
There.
Okay, here it goes. Okay, so I copy from here.
Well, while we're reading, we can pick another. Oh, well, she just posted another one down at the very bottom there.
Go. There we go. Oh yeah, I can tell you in 1 second. That's what my ask is most of the time. spot on.
The break is really cool
That's
too.
spot on. It's upbeat. It's positive. The message is, every brand needs to go somewhere. So I think that's like spot on. That's great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I think you'll have
Yay.
a ball.
You want to pick the next one, or you want me to?
Let's see, where am I at? Okay, go.
They're just coming in.
Sturgun and myself.
Get your hopes up, keep 'em way up, stay up, hold on to that dream. Get your hopes up, keep 'em way up, stay up, you gotta believe. Keep up, your dreams will be kept up. Don't get too swept up in what people say. Look up, we'll take a castle in the air. What do we even care about gravity? Get your hopes up, keep 'em way up.
I like that one. I think the positive, kind of like I was saying, the positive message behind all of these. I think that's kind of your number one box to check. I think that one's nice. The only question I have is like, or I guess critique, I guess would be a better word. It's just like the hip hop drums. I know that when people hear 4 on the floor in an agency, or they hear a hip hop thing, like their brain immediately goes to like, they might hear that and think, oh man, that's hip hop. We didn't want hip hop, which I think everyone in this chat knows, because we're music folks. That's not like a straight up hip hop song. You could totally tell by the vocals. You can tell by the everything, but the hip hop rhythm in the drums take you a little bit away from that anthemic positive song and lyric, and put you in a hip hop world and kind of paint you into a corner, which is tough, because I know all the time, if I send along a song, like say that band Arizona, and it's got 4 on the floor, they're like, we don't like techno. I'm like, guys, that's not even close to techno.
Right. Your sound went down a little bit again. We could still hear you, but it's like quiet again.
Let me try this.
I don't know how you fixed it.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, weird. I guess I'm like gotta reset my mic. Okay, scrolling down. There's the low. All right, I've got Up From Here is this one by Artemis. It's good.
Oh, my darling, up from here, it's only up from here. 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 One day I'm gonna rise up and eradicate my blue. I don't know what you talking about, but I'm gonna get my just due. One day, soon we gon' rise up. One day, soon we gon' rise up. Up from here, it's only up from here. 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 Up from here. Up from here. Up from here, it's only up from here. Ain't no going down now. Ain't no going down now.
I think that one's spot on. I like the left of center-ness of it, if that makes any sense. I know like when I'm looking for songs, a lot of the time I'm like, how can it nail my brief and then feel a little quirky, unexpected, and weird? And that one does it. I mean, I think, when we go back, the first like this, this to me just like perked my ears up. I'm like, oh shit, what is this? You know, I'm not, you know, that's gonna catch your ear. And I think a lot of the time in, you know, looking for songs for ads, that's all the client, that's all the brand wants. They want you to be, you know, watching your kid making a sandwich and hear and be like, oh shit, what is this? Oh, it's Tide. Cool. That's half the battle. I think that one was great.
That's great insight. Thank you. Awesome.
Love the weirdness.
Nice job.
And this, let's see, this one is So Many Roads.
Road trips, sunny days on the beach, sharing secrets with my friends, taking chances. There's so much to learn, dreaming before the day begins. Oh, did you ever feel the rush of something you've never done before? So many roads to go down, so many ways to be free. Let's take the day and make it beautiful. So many things we can't see, so many things we can't see. Hey. Dreaming.
It's great. It's great. And this is something that just reminded me I didn't mention, the spot on. You did the whistle part, which I think is genius. And it works so well with the O's, the O's, you know, those, the whistles, all those things, because you get to put, you know, you get to the 23-second mark of a 30-second spot, and you've got to have VO at the end card. You've got to have 7 seconds of VO on a lot of the end of these spots, to where if you have a whistle, you still get the human element, you still get a vocal in there, but you're able to put the voiceover over top of that. And that's, I can't tell you how many times I've licensed songs that have a whistle or something in it like this, because you get the best of both worlds. You know, otherwise you've got to go to an instrumental and you can lose energy when you go from vocal all the way up front to the end of the spot, and you lose the vocal because you got to put VO in it, to where these songs with the whistle and some type of chanty, you know, some type of vocal melodic thing, you can throw the VO over and it's a home run. I think that's great. That's spot on.
I love that. That's awesome. That's great to know. I think that's really valuable information for everybody.
Totally. That one was, yeah, that's, I need that for Volkswagen like right now.
Okay, so that was 5 songs. And we've got like so many. So I think that if you have advice that you could, for these artists, for songwriters who want to, some of them have had placements, some of them are trying to figure out how to get, you know, do that more regularly, and really get their foot in the door. So what would your advice be to these songwriters? And
I mean, keep cranking, keep, you know, being, I feel like you guys have all put yourself in this position to be sitting on this video chat right now and asking these questions. You know, I think keep jamming it out. Try to find the music companies you want to work with. You know, dive in for the research on who did the, you know, Applebee's commercial that you saw the music for. You know, you can reach out, you can find these people, you know. I mean, you can find who composed it and who did this and who went, you know, to this music company and got the placement with Applebee's and did that and ended up doing the jingle for, you know, whoever. I mean, you can track these people down and, you know, figure out the way to get your foot in the door. I think all the songs I just listened to were, you know, spot on for one thing or another. And, you know, I think you guys have been observant, and just by hearing these songs, to me, it sounds like you guys have done your research and you know what you're doing. You know, this wasn't like a bunch of, you know, techno music and you're like, well, why isn't it being used in any spots? I'm like, well, you would know why, and that would be weird for all of us right now if that was the case. But I mean, you guys are on the right track. I mean, keep cranking, find some music companies that you know, find the brand you want to get involved with, and reach out and you know, keep doing it. I think you guys are like awesome. This is great.
Thank you. We had a question come in from Marco. Speaking of music companies, do you work with some that you love, like licensing companies that you would recommend artists to reach out to?
that's a tough one. I mean, the music house world, I mean, all those guys, they've got my back and they help me out so much, and they have great rosters. And I would say you guys just reach out and get involved with them. And they're the ones who do all the original compositions for all these ads. And I feel like if you see something on TV, there's a really great chance it was originally composed, and a good chunk of money went to somebody for their craft. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I love them all. I can, send out some notes to everybody on which companies, like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, a lot of
That's great. That's awesome.
a lot of really good ones.
Well, thank you. I know that tons of thank yous are coming in here, and your advice and insight is so appreciated. I can't say it enough. You expand upon the things that we are trying to get across and that these artists are already doing every day. And it's just such a valuable experience to hear what the other side is looking for and doing and how it works. So thanks for taking time out of your amazing busy life to do it.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna check out these questions and write back, throw you guys some names for music houses, and let's all keep in touch. And thank you guys all. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, guys. Happy week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Hooray!
Yeah.